Hi there everyone, Rob here with today's Western Pacific weather update, and what we are going to be talking about this evening going from the 4th into the 5th is the potential for a tropical storm and one of the first named systems of the tropical season, Tropical Cyclone Yagi, possibly forming. Right now very disorganized, but we're going to talk about some of the model outputs and the potential of this developing. But right now, this is what it looks like from the GFS. We can see it coming out of the Philippine Sea, pushing out here towards Japan. Very well could impact around Shikoku into Kyushu as we go into the early part of next week. So, well, with that said, it's not just going to be impacting there. Now, like I said, really at this time it is very disorganized. This is 96W right now, and well, center of circulation just, well, towards the south of Guam. You can kind of see some rotation flaring up in the clouds in and around this area. It's very, very disorganized. The bulk of the convection off here towards the north, and that looks like that's going to be the case throughout the duration of its life if this does continue to develop. Farther down towards the south, we are seeing some slight inflow. ASCAT imagery is confirming up these gusty winds too. Here on the left side of the screen, you can even see these winds up to about 30 to 35 knots towards the right of this storm system. So if it does get organized, it already has the tropical storm strength. If it does get organized too, well, where is it going to be going? I think right now we don't really want to talk too much about the intensity, but if it does form up, who is going to be impacted? Well, right now we have that rainy season front, which has been bringing widespread showers in and across southeastern China. Japan under this high pressure, a high pressure right here over the West Pac, extending ridge off of that. That's a horrible ridge, but yeah. Now, if this comes off towards the west, you have the southwesterlies pulling in right here, so it's likely going to round that ridge and start to push north. Not impacting the Philippines directly, but there will be an indirect response to that low pressure area coming around here, because as it does so, most of the models are expecting it to intensify here in the northeastern portions of the Philippine Sea. Several things that come into that: low vertical wind shear, warm sea surface temperatures, and moisture inflow. And what's going to be happening here is we're likely going to see some moisture inflow coming in across Manila, extending south into Visayas, northern Mindanao. And that, my friends, could cause the risk of flooding. This is from the NavGem. As we take a look at it, it starts to develop this storm system on Friday and the Saturday, so going through the weekend. But look at the whole time this is happening. You see that moisture continuing to hit Visayas in southern Luzon, and as the storm system continues to intensify, there's a risk of some heavy rainfall here. Now, this is from GFS, showing a very similar output with it developing on Friday and the Saturday. There's one thing we look at: if many models are saying something consistently over the course of several days, and both models are developing it, well, there's the risk of this coming out here. Now, that pushes out towards Iwoto, but extending farther back towards the west. We saw those storm systems last year with those floods in and around the Manila area. A lot of it was due to that storm systems pulling off there towards the east of the Philippines and gathering in that moisture with it. So we want to continue to watch this. Now, another thing that's going on here is as it does gather in that moisture, there's a high pressure ridge setting up there towards the northeast of Japan. Right up in here, you can see that really large, you see all these isobars wrapping around it. Well, that's going to act like a wall. And if that does so, it's going to weaken the storm system. Don't get me wrong. But see, at the end of this, it follows that wall, pushes onshore, and starts to bring some heavy rainfall across western Japan. The NavGem output even puts it more so, impacting Kyushu, and then you see that whole trailing edge of rainfall running around Shikoku in the Kinki region. This area is very prone to landslide, very volcanic, so that, if it does develop and this was to really be the overall result of the storm system, I do think there would be flooding a week from today, but that means why I'm strongly stressing that it very well could continue to change. But we have seen several model runs take this system, develop it out here in the Philippine Sea, then rotate it around the western edge of that West Pac High, hit that blocking ridge just towards East Japan, and loop it back towards Shikoku. If this actually follows through, it does show the indication of how good weather forecasting has become as far as model output. My thoughts: I think it is going to round that West Pac High. I think that there's going to be moisture inflow. Even if this doesn't develop, European model has actually been rather weak on it lately. Not really developing a system at all, just keeping in an elongated area of just precipitation here, just getting sheared apart due to the upper level winds out here. And then as we look out ahead in the Sunday, you can just see it completely get pulled off there towards the north. A low pressure coming in out of China, just chops it up into little tiny pieces here. That is according to the European model. Take a look at this though, and now this is the difference in why it is long range, and I always stress this long range. That's the European model. This is a GFS at the same time. Completely different output, but GFS, no gaps, or NavGem, CMC all have similar outputs. European is the outlier at this time. My thoughts, there is ample moisture, low vertical wind shear in the Philippine Sea here, warm sea surface temperatures. I do think it could get its act together. I do think that we could have a possible very weak tropical storm develop here in the Philippine Sea, and it's going to gather some moisture, and the main risk is going to be flooding out of this across the Philippines. And if it does bounce back towards Japan, then we could see that risk of, well, some flooding out here and across Japan. But with that said, we're really going to continue to keep an eye on this. But that's all for right now, everybody. Thanks again for watching here at WesternPacificWeather.com. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you can post them down in the comment box below. Also, go to the webpage, check out our latest information there. And furthermore, we put out our Sunday vlogs. I really appreciate if you check those out, trying to work on my video editing. So if you click up here, there's a link to that, the latest one at the very least. So, yeah, thanks for watching, though, and as always, stay safe out there, everyone. Bye.